very much delighted to be joined by Ryan, our welfare officer, and Jennifer this morning to talk a little bit about what we have planned for Mental Health Week. So maybe Jennifer, we haven't spoken to you before, so you might introduce yourself and tell us what it is you do in the college.
Yeah, sure. So I'm an instructional designer, which means that I assist mostly staff in teaching online, in putting their resources up online and supporting them through creating resources and materials to put into Moodle. And through that work, I suppose I'm always interested in also helping students, because there is that gap between what we do with staff and the issues that they come across, and maybe some of the students, and where we need to start supporting students better. And especially in terms of now that we have, we have COVID and we've lockdowns, we need to be providing more in terms of wellbeing resources. And one of those resources that I'm here to talk to you about today is the Being Well, Living Well toolkit. And I'm not a mental health expert, but I have acquired all the resources and I've put them into Moodle. So that's really my role, is putting resources into Moodle. And because I've put this resource in and it's so beneficial for students, I was so delighted to be asked to talk about it today.
Yeah. Ryan, you've had a quick look at the module that Jennifer has shared with you last week. What are your feelings on it? What do you think of the module so far?
Yeah, I think it will be a big advantage to have this in the college. I think not enough has been done in recent years about this, so I think any sort of support like that is greatly appreciated, and it's something that students and staff must take advantage of fully.
Okay, so Jennifer, you might tell us a little bit about the module. As you said yourself, you're not an expert in health and well-being, but none of us actually have to be. So we've actually gone out and sought the help of professionals. So this is a professionally developed module. So you might tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, exactly, Yvonne. Mental health experts, psychologists, lecturing staff, faculty staff from other colleges, and students, most importantly, came together and they worked out, what were the issues and what was the right way to present these issues, and maybe scenarios and videos around how to cope with various challenges that students are now facing. And it's all about, I suppose, taking a positive and preventative approach to students maintaining their mental, physical, emotional and financial well-being. So out of that, the toolkit allows you to dip in and out, because there's 4 strands to it.
Okay.
So if a student finds that they find themselves in a particular situation and they're wondering, how am I going to cope with this? Whether it be a conflict with another student, maybe they're moving out of home for the first time, maybe they're looking for accommodation once all of these lockdowns are over, they actually have an advantage now in going through this resource and finding out things about maybe even budgeting and equipping themselves for, I suppose, all that the journey of going to college brings with it. Even down to, I suppose, issues right now, even if they're at home with their own family and they're trying to study online, how are they going to balance their mental health? How are they going to still participate in activities and have their friends and some sort of social contact? So basically there's 4 strands, as I mentioned, and the first one is living well, and that's all about those issues that I've sort of gone through with you there. Coping with even just isolation and keeping up with healthy eating. Feeling well is all about that. There's, I suppose, a lot of stress and anxiety that comes along with being a student. We all have negative thoughts in our heads. Sometimes we listen too much to these automatic negative responses that we have to situations. maybe our confidence, you know, maybe things that we haven't thought about that we need to work on. So this resource lets you, I suppose, confidently get answers to questions that you might have, and also confidentially. So you can click into anything, read a piece of information, and get information without having, you know, I suppose, you know, you've gone confidently, and you can read information that is accurate. Because the other issue we're facing now is, okay, you can Google search any topic and find out, you know, maybe you're wondering about online safety, about alcohol, about drugs, but you may not get accurate information. So this resource is going to give you good information, and it also links you up with all the services at IT Sligo.
Yeah, and I think that's actually what I really like about the program, is that, you know, yes, all the information is being pulled together by experts. It's, as you said, it's stopping us kind of going out to Google this and Google that. We know that the information is secure. We know that it's been peer reviewed. But what I do love is that we, so whether it's the health services or student counselling, the students' union, we can all add content to it, and we can signpost people to the resources that are available on campus. Because I think actually, you know, an awful lot of people are doing an awful lot of good work. You know, like the students' union have all of their resources, students' health services, yourselves, the lecturers, everybody is doing all this great work and providing resources, but I don't know where to find them.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think, you know, for me, that's what I really, really like about this program, is that we can now start to filter and funnel all the information into one program. And I think, you know, I'd say, Ryan, you would probably agree with that as well, is that, you know, in terms of inquiries that you get, like, you're kind of like, oh, I don't know, I'll have to go check that out for you. So do you see an advantage in having that as well, Ryan?
Yeah, I think as you mentioned there, Yvonne, the biggest thing is knowing where these resources and contacts are. Like, I myself as a student, before, I wouldn't have known of half the resources available and where to get them. So I think it's essential that we take advantage and make use of all that is out there, big time.
Yeah. So Jennifer, where can we find the module?
So the great thing about it is it's in Moodle, and we knew that this was the best place to put it because all our students have access to Moodle. So when you go into Moodle, you're faced with the home page and your dashboard with all your modules that you're studying on. And there's a little search bar at the top. And if you type in being well, living well into that search bar, it comes up straight away. You just click on it and you can enroll yourself. Or the other way to do it is there's a My Supports tab in Moodle. It's on the top of every Moodle screen. And if you click on that, you can also find it within Student Supports.
Yeah. And I suppose the message that we want to get out there is that even though it's kind of the last few weeks of term, you know, get in there and start using it. Because, you know, I'm sure we've invested in it as a kind of, like, I always look at all of these things as kind of being part of your suitcase of things that I need when I go to college, and this is definitely something that we should be packing in the bag for being a student. So I suppose we would say, you know, encourage people to even get onto it now, and in particular, I suppose, Ryan, you know, we spoke before Easter, and you know, when we were planning what we would do for this week, for Mental Health Week, and Ryan very clever came up with the campaign of Minding Your Selfie, which, you know, I think, you know, speaks not only to the students, it speaks to all of us at the moment, you know, and I think we do tend to actually forget to mind ourselves. And so Jennifer, listen, thanks a million for joining us and telling us a little bit about it. We will be advertising you obviously through social media. You have some other you have some videos lined up as well, I think, for this week, and hopefully we'll share them on our Healthy Campus social media and the Students' Union on theirs as well. I think it's a brilliant resource. I loved it from the first time that you showed it to me, and in fact I'd actually I think when I was looking at a wish list of what we could provide in the college months and months ago, probably even this time last year, I was looking at, you know, some of what the other universities had, and I thought, God, I'd love if we had that, but I don't think we'll afford it. So when you came back and said, no, we are looking at it, I thought, brilliant, you know, because I just think it's so important that we can signpost people to the resources, because, you know, it's hard to think that somebody didn't know something because they just didn't know where to go to ask for the information. And particularly when we're still working from home and studying from home. Yeah,
exactly, Vaughn. Like, I'd say to anyone, just go in and have a look at it now. I know everyone's really, you know,
busy.
Really focused on their exams right now,
Yeah.
and getting through the next few weeks. But that means it's even more important to know where to go for all of this information. Dip in and out of it, have a look. It's going to be there next year. So next semester, if you're coming back in September, it will be there also. But look at it now and see what's there. And you never know, you may have to support someone else. It mightn't be you in a situation, but you may find a friend or family member having difficulties. And if you read something in this that helps you understand how to support someone else, that's even of benefit, you know. And even outside of college, you're going to have a whole summer where you may be facing into other situations. And this is about real life. So it's not even just about college. It's about equipping yourself into the future. So I'd say to anyone, just go into Moodle, type it into the search bar, being well, living well, and it will come up, and just have a look.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Listen, thank you, Jennifer. You'll stick with us and listen to what some of the great events that Ryan has lined up for the week. So Ryan, you might give us an overview of what we can expect this week. We're back.
So Yvonne, as you mentioned, we've kind of took a few weeks to plan this event. I think the past 12 months for students as well as staff and for us all has been so difficult. And I thought ourselves, the lads in the union, we kind of felt it was so important for us to really focus on mental health this second semester. So that's when we kind of come up with the idea of Mind Your Selfie. So kicking off the week, we have Alan O'Mara, who is the developer of RealTalks.ie. So he's a sports performance and wellbeing consultant. He'd worked with various League of Ireland teams and Gaelic teams in the past. So he's actually a Cavan man as well, which is also a plus. But he's coming in at 2 o'clock today to do a session on wellbeing, and he is really, really good. He has been doing mental health stuff, I'd say, nearly for almost 10 years now. And he's really a big advocate back in Cavan and even in the country now. So he is fantastic, to say the least. Tomorrow we have a girl called Clodagh Cahill. So Clodagh is an ambassador for the Community Crisis Response Team, which is a non-profit organisation which provides suicide prevention training. So Clodagh has quite an interesting background story, and she's kind of big on her Instagram and a social media influencer. So she is, if some of you might already know her, but she's really fascinating, and her outlook on things and kind of mind frame is really, really interesting. So I'd highly advise people attend that event. We also have John Graham, who will be doing a couple meditation sessions. Isn't that right, Yvonne? I think Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah, so he's going to kick off tomorrow at 12:30.
Yeah.
And again on Thursday, and again next Tuesday, and again next Thursday. And it's only 30 minutes. And as he said himself, come along, listen in, join in if you want. And if you don't, just soak it up and take the half hour to... he talks a lot about awareness and... I suppose being aware of our emotions and aware of how we're feeling can actually be half the battle. So so that's John. He's tomorrow, so Tuesday, Thursday, and Tuesday and Thursday next week as well.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of carrying it on for a few weeks. Is it just next week, or is it?
No, just the next 2 weeks.
Just next 2 weeks, yeah. So that's that'll be interesting to get the meditation session going. So we also then have we have Shane Carty on Wednesday at 2 p.m. So Shane is a former GAA player for Dublin. Shane would have brought out a book recently, the start of this year, on mental health and his struggles. So he's telling his story. And again, that's Wednesday at 2 p.m. And then on Thursday, as you mentioned, we have the meditation session at 12:30 to 1. And then straight after that, we have a group of lads from Cork called the Silly Hats.
Yeah.
Now, they are all about putting a face on mental health and changing the stigma surrounding it. So it's quite interesting. I only found out about the Silly Hats recently from yourself, Yvonne, but I had a good look at them, and they're really fascinating. There's a few of them yet. So they have, I think, around 20 years of experience in mental health and stuff like that. So they'll be quite interesting.
Yeah.
And with all these events, you can find the links and the times for these events on our social media. So on our Instagram, and also if you go onto our Student Union website, you will get all the list of events and times that are taking place on. So
that's brilliant. And you know, and I would like to thank you, Ryan. Like this you know, this has been a really hard year to be a welfare officer. Talk about learning as you go and learning skills that you probably thought you would never have to have. But you've done a great job, you know, because we've worked together now for the last, I suppose, well, since last May. And, you know, the support is always there for the students, and the support is always there for the staff as well. And I suppose that's, you know, I'd like just to kind of mention that, you know, for staff, we have our EAP program, and you can reach that at 1-800 20 13 46. The Students' Union are there at support at ITSSU.ie. Student counsellors can be got at studentcounsellor@IT There is the crisis text line, which is run by the HSE, and that's 50808. You now have the lovely Being Well, Living Well resource available on Moodle. So, you know, the resources are there. I was kind of thinking to myself this morning, you know, so we've had 100 days of lockdown. Doesn't even feel like, I don't know, I've lost all track of time anyway. For me, it's kind of like my time is broken up into like when the kids are at school and when they're not at school, really. It's kind of, that's my days are like, they went back to school today, and I kind of, it's like, yay. Shouldn't say that too loudly, but it was, you know, so it's very, I think it's been very difficult to kind of, you know, think about where we are in terms of time. But, you know, it is a significant day. The level 5 restrictions are starting to ease, and, you know, okay, I think, you know, we have to hold firm, as that famous term, I think, now for the next while. But, you know, now is not the time to fall at the last fence, I think. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that, Jennifer? That, you know, it's
absolutely, yeah. And we have got through it this far, and we've all, you know, shaped our lives around, you know, being compliant and doing our best. And, you know, that is it. We have to keep going, no matter what the government is, you know, saying about what's going to happen next with lockdowns. You know, we have to respect everybody and make sure we stick to, you know, wearing our masks and everything else and keeping our distance. So I suppose keeping our mental health, you know, keeping healthy, and, you know, keeping ourselves healthy and being aware of times where we need help and support. And, you know, hopefully, you know, by gathering ourselves today together and making more awareness of what's available. Like you said, we've so much available, and it's really hard when you're looking for something to find it. So hopefully, you know, we've pulled our resources together, and through the next 2 weeks, you know, people will get a lot more out of what we're presenting to them. It'll raise the awareness that it's necessary.
And Ryan, you're kind of ending your tenure now as the welfare officer. Any words of wisdom would you have for the students now in the last few weeks?
Yeah, so I suppose, as I kind of mentioned, that the last year for not alone students, for staff as well, that's a big thing as well. I think this week that we are kind of reaching out to staff, because it's been tough for everyone. But I think I would like to think that we're through the worst of it. It's been such a tough, even the last kind of few months where we've been in and out of lockdowns, and we feel that there was no end in sight. Now there's a bit of there's kind of light at the end of the tunnel, as I mentioned to you, Jennifer. It's kind of, we can kind of see the end of it, but we're not fully there just yet. So it's just so important that we keep kind of looking out for each other and ourselves as well. So, but we're getting there. We are getting there. So hopefully sooner rather than later we'll be out of this.
Yeah. Well, I got my vaccine.
Oh, wow.
I got my vaccine badge, but I didn't get my vaccine. So I actually got to return to campus last Tuesday. And to say it was surreal would be a total understatement. Into the Knocknarea Arena, where it's, you know, I felt really proud actually as a staff member to be heading in there. And I think I said it to several people. I actually work here. I'm not here in this building, but I work here, you know. And that kind of backfired on me then after I think about 10 minutes, because someone said to me, if you work here, could you talk to me about getting the heat turned on? I was like, sorry, not me. Okay. But you know, it's, for me, it's a massive sense of, thank God, you know, that I've had my first dose of vaccine now, because, you know, I am in one of those groups where, you know, I'm would be very vulnerable, medically vulnerable. So, you know, but for me, even to think like within a year that science is fantastic, you know, to have turned things around so that there are vaccines available for us all. And, you know, I think while vaccines are part of the solution, they're not all of the solution. But I suppose for, you know, to finish it off, I just would say to people, you know, it is tough. And, you know, even in normal times, life can be very tough, and we don't know what kind of curveballs that life will throw us. And also we don't know where the shoe pinches in anybody's life, you know. So I kind of talk to my girls about it as well, you know, and say, you know, well, just be kind, you know. And I think that would be, for me, it's kind of saying to people, look, be kind to yourself, be kind to the people around you. You know, it has been a tough year. It has been tougher for some. There were people that are going to be listening to this day who have probably lost relatives in the last 12 months, or may not have been able to visit family in nursing homes or care centres or whatever, you know. So it's tough as it may be for me or you, or you know, it is sometimes it's even tougher for others. So I think simply, you know, if we can take care of ourselves, be kind to ourselves, get through the next few weeks. If you need help, reach out.
Absolutely.
That's all I would say. Listen, guys, it's been a pleasure. I apologize again for the mix up in the technology at the beginning. I was just saying to Jennifer and Ryan, even after a year, I still haven't got my head around the technology. I think I'm definitely a person for meeting people, and just I rely a lot, I think, on interacting with people. So it's kind of been, for a social butterfly like myself, I found the technology really difficult, but I've adapted, and it's been a pleasure chatting to you guys. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish up?
No, I think no, I think that's everything we've really covered there. So it's just important for us all, I think, to understand the importance of mental health and to reach out if we are struggling, and to just look out for each other and ourselves. Yeah,
perfect. And Jennifer?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I'll put up the resource. Hopefully I'll get it out through social media, through the Students' Union, and through yourself, Yvonne. I'll get the link out there so that even on your phone you can just click the link and bring yourself into Moodle and have a look around the resource, and hopefully it helps somebody. Yep. You know, and at any time you can access it. So, you know, it's great if it's the middle of the night or whatever else, and you need to look up something, you need to get some information, it's there.
Yeah. And we'll be sending out emails, you know, every day, reminding people of what's on this week and how you can join in. So please, you know, join in if it's only for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever. I'm looking forward to it myself. It's a good start to the week. So listen, thanks a million, guys, for joining me.
Thanks very much, Yvonne.